so here is yet another little software review, actually of a program that I don't use too much, but I do want to use it quite a bit more, and that is Surge XT. Now currently I'm using GarageBand to make all my music, and whilst that's worked quite well, A, it's not really as flexible as some of the Linux alternatives I came across, and B, crapple. Yeah, while I'm not actively hating against what Apple, I really wanted to embrace an open source lifestyle. So in general, that means that I'm going to be using my Linux computer more for making music by the end of this year. Anyway, let me actually show you what Surge XT is. Well, first let me explain it in about 13 minutes. So Surge XT is a digital synthesizer only. It just takes your keyboard input, whether that be a QWERTY keyboard or a MIDI keyboard, and converts it into sound using one of several patterns that each have a lot of parameters you can change. In GarageBand you get just like a preset, and then you would change some very basic values. That's fun to use for a while, but I really find myself craving some custom sounds and some more creative freedom. And so Surge XT really does provide that. There's a lot of options you can set up. Writing, pitch, cutoff, different components, the waveform. There's a lot of options that are not just rolled into a preset. Obviously it's open source and it works quite well on Linux, as you can kind of guess. So Surge XT is really kind of like a virtual Eurorack system. The Eurorack being kind of like a rack that you put in different components and connect them together in different ways to create different sounds. So this kind of emulates that in a digital way. However, there are presets available, but you can change every one of the settings. These are called patches for Surge XT, and there are a lot of them. There are even people who are, as I'm speaking, working on creating and perfecting their own patches, which is great. So that is the most important part. It actually has a built-in keyboard that I can play via touchscreen or QWERTY keyboard, but of course it's preferable to use a MIDI keyboard. And the MIDI keyboard I'm actually thinking of getting, / might have gotten by the time of this video, is the Arturia Mini Lab, and the Mini Lab 3. And yeah, that's going to be a pretty nice one. It actually has a sequencer built in, but I'm not going to show that in this video. I'm just going to show the bare Surge XT program. Apparently, it can handle multiple MIDI inputs, whether that be from an internal application or from an external device, like a keyboard or an audio interface plugged into it. With that out of the way though, we have about 10 minutes, which I'm just gonna leave behind, except for saying that this program is not really intended for beginners. Because it's like so incredibly complicated, changing all these values. Yeah, it's more for those who kind of want a bit of a challenge to making music using synthesizers. And of course I'm going to be using GarageBand in the future as well, because this only mostly does synthesizers. Things like drum machines and virtual guitar, whilst there may be custom patches, I don't really think they could be done well in Surge XT, because it only has a keyboard interface. So with that out of the way, let's go for it. Let's have a look using my simple screen recorder at this program and how it works with a QWERTY keyboard. With a MIDI keyboard it's kind of the same functioning, but of course you get more keys and stuff like that. So this is the program search. I'm going to show it with a QWERTY keyboard at the moment, and of course we can go here into the settings to activate MIDI ports, whether it be the throughput from external devices or external applications, or a throughput from external devices like an audio interface. There's also MIDI channels we can set up here, and we can turn on the audio input, but I'm not going to do that because that avoids feedback loop. So here we have our patch browser, and there's quite a lot of patches to choose from. Like, I may have talked about it, it's like ridiculous, even when you compare it to GarageBand. There are both the official patches like harmonics, polysynths, vocoders even. Let's try one of those. You play it simply by pressing a key on the keyboard. Okay, I've got what happened here. I've actually gone to keys and then artificial on one of these. Yeah, that's a pretty weird one. Another one. This is the drums, the kicks. However, I have a bit of a weird interface because it's via keyboard, but that does mean it's pitch adjustable. Instead of using a drum machine or something where you just have fixed settings. It even has certain pretty weird sound effects. And if I go to the plugs, there's one for VHS. Yeah, those are a lot of fun, but then on this side we have the patches from third parties. And the way we select those, if we just go here and then click over there, here we can set the output volume, which shouldn't have to do. We can set between the key modes, and there's actually two different it actually has two different modes. So mode A and mode B, sometimes both are used. And of course, playing on a keyboard is a bit more consistent and a bit easier than playing on a touchscreen. However, here is where it ends. That's the only thing that's easier about this than about GarageBand on the iPad. Because controls, they are practically everywhere. We can set up all different kinds of modulations here. This is the oscillator, where you select the pitch value, the wave shape, the width. A lot of different values here. We can also set, these are known as the filters, so we can set up 2 filters if I'm correct, and then we can analyze the output. Even on the fly, we can just change an aspect of a filter. And we can select here again. There's quite a lot of filters. There's a whole lot of LFOs that we can select to use. I'm not going to give you an exact manual for this application, but it is very, very complex, but also very flexible for that reason. And I'm back again in the system, so as we can actually see who made every single of these third-party patches, and we can actually initializer patch. So this is a very basic initializer patch, and you basically just have this this keyboard here, and then you can set the pitch, the wave shape, the width, here we can set a filter, so low pass, band pass, high pass, a notch effect. We need a notch effect here. Then we add an effect. Let's and here you can actually split the keyboard up. I don't know how that works, but that's practically how the program works. You've got a lot of options that you can set up to effectively either create a patch or to create music using a patch. Of course, it is worth noting that Surgical C doesn't record anything. You'll need another program like Audacity to do that. And I'm starting that up. Now the way we set up Audacity to record internally is obviously we need to turn on the silent monitor. I'm going to set the recording device here, and it should be set, I think it's called Pulse. So I'm just going to try that out. Let's turn on silent monitoring and start playing the synth. So, see what happens. Yep, there you go. You might have seen it. It actually recorded into Audacity. We'll choose the record button to record. When you're recording more than one track at once, you do have to make sure to mute all the others. So you totally out the track you intend to record to avoid feedback loops. So that practically makes the program. I'm going to, of course, be releasing music using this later on as well. But see you another time. Bye bye. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do, please give a thumbs up and share this video with all your friends, and perhaps consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.